Hello and welcome to History Time. This is that time of the year when the Shiva temples have their Panguni Uttram festival. And in that, the festival at Mylapore's Kapaleeshwarar Temple is very famous. The 10-day festival sees deities coming out in procession on different mounts twice a day. In this, the 8th day's festival is really the biggest, when several 100,000 devotees descend in the afternoon to witness the Arupathu Moovar festival, when the 63 devotees of Shiva are brought out as bronze icons and set out in procession with Shiva following them. It is a spectacle that can be intimidating, and at the same time, it is a festival that should not be missed. There are records of the Arupathu Moovar festival having taken place for several centuries. And in that, one of the most fascinating is the Arupathu Moovar Vazhi Nadai Chindu, which is a Tamil poem which describes a lover and his sweetheart walking all the way from Georgetown to Mylapore in 1905 to participate in the Arupathu Moovar festival. The poem describes all that they saw in Madras city as they walked all the way. Today, I propose to retrace that journey and take you to the Madras that was in 1905. Join me in this journey of discovery and let us see what were the landmarks at that time and how many of them still survive. Let's go. One of the most fascinating aspects of research into the history of Madras, that is Chennai, are the chapbooks, or what were known as Kalana Puttahangal. These were the methods by which the news of the day was disseminated in the closing years of the 19th century and the early years of the 20th century. Printing of these books was very easy and the cost was very low. Daily happenings, news about murders, the construction of the High Court, the opening of the Royapuram railway station, a fire disaster at People's Park, all kinds of things would be reduced into poetry form, published in the form of books, and then sold at various crossroads. The independence struggle too would make full use of these publications. Dr. A.R. Venkatachalapati has done considerable research on this topic, and he published a book in Tamil called Muchandi Ilakkiyam. The same was translated into English under the title Songsters of the Crossroads, and he spoke about how people would sing the songs that were published and then sell the booklets through which the news would get disseminated. In this era of fake news, breaking news, and news channels, we can clearly see that that was the way in which news spread in the past. In that collection of Muchandi Ilakkiyam poems at the Roja Muttaya Research Library, we have this Vazhi Nadai Chindu, which describes this journey for the Arupathu Moovar festival. It starts at Mulla Sahib Street, Georgetown, where this anonymous boyfriend is calling out to his beloved, whom he describes as the resident beauty of Mulla Sahib Street. He asks her to wear her Kuttini sari, her blouse of 5 colors, put on all her gold jewelry. Obviously, Arupathu Moovar was the great acme of fashion and society for those people, and he asks her to join him on this journey. They begin by coming out of Mulla Sahib Street, which is near Chengam Bazaar, as this poem describes it, and it is still in the same place. And they worship first at the Ranganatha Swami Temple in Mulla Sahib Street. It still is there. Next to the Ranganatha Swami Temple, as per this poem, is the Arunachaleshwarar Temple. And when you go there, you find that it is so. There is a common wall that joins the two shrines. And from there, we can make out that they have come to Anna Pillai Street, because he is describing a Dharmaraja temple. Even today, the Dharmaraja Draupadi Amman temple is on Anna Pillai Street. Thereafter, he describes what is known as a Tannir Totti, a great collecting point for water. This was clearly Trevelyan's Basin, which was dug at the instructions of the governor of Madras in 1859, Sir Charles Trevelyan. A man of great foresight, he realized that this city did not have a perennial source of water, and he decided that rainwater would have to be harvested in 1859. And he got a huge reservoir dug, and that was known as Trevelyan's Basin. Over the years, basin vanished, water vanished, Trevelyan went back to England, but what survives is the name. Even today, the area is referred to as Trevelyan's Basin. And next to that, this young man is asking his beloved to take a look at Aanai Kauni or Elephant's Gate. What is that? Today, it is just the name of an area. But in the 18th century, Georgetown, which was essentially the Madras of that era, had a protective wall built all around it, and these had gates at various places through which people could go out and come in. The one gate that pointed to the west was Elephant's Gate. As to why it got that name is a mystery even today. Today the gate has vanished, the fort wall does not exist. Actually, I am wrong, a part of the fort wall still exists on Old Jail Road, and there is a park constructed on top of it known as Madipunga. If you go there even now, you can see what a wide and strong wall protected Georgetown at one time. But at Elephant's Gate, there is no trace of the wall. There is in fact a bridge, very recently renovated, known as Elephant's Gates Bridge. From there, this young couple come to a beautiful garden, which this young man describes as Victoria Thotam. What was Victoria Thotam? For a very brief while, that was the name of People's Park, which eventually would give its name to the area known as Parktown. It was a park that spread over 116 acres. It had ponds, it had fountains, it had tennis courts, swimming bath, a bandstand, and several other amenities, including a zoo, the oldest zoo of India, which functioned there from the 1860s till the 1980s when it moved to Vandalur. All of this existed together in People's Park, which was known as Victoria's Garden. This young man describes not only all the animals that were there, but what was then a great novelty: water coming through pipes and being collected at various points around the garden, where women came and collected it and took it home by carrying the pots on their heads. What was this that he is describing? In the 1860s, piped water supply came to Madras for the first time, and the man who engineered it was J.A. Jones of the Madras Corporation. He created a system whereby water from Puzhal came all the way to the city to various collection points from which people could take the water. Even today, the tower that marks the water level in Red Hills is known as Jones Tower, and it commemorates this man. And so this couple are looking at the pipes that was bringing water to the city, and then they look at a lovely wooden bridge spanning high mounds and banks of sand, in the midst of which there is a beautiful lake. And he says that for the payment of 1 anna, you could take a boat ride on that lake. What was this lake? This was known as Lily Pond, and it was full of lilies at one time. It had lilies, and boating was possible even in 1975. How do I know that? Because as a young boy of 9, I have gone with my mother boating on that lily pond. Today there is no pond, there are no lilies, but the area is even today known as Lily Pond Complex, and there is a shopping complex built on that site. What happened to People's Park? All the land in it was eventually built upon. The Central Station, the Victoria Public Hall, the Moor Market, which became the suburban railway terminus, Ripon Building, the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, all of them came to be built on People's Park. But in 1905, when this couple were wandering around the place, Ripon Building did not exist, but Central Station did, Victoria Public Hall did, Moor Market did, and there was plenty of garden space and there was the zoo. So he is describing all the animals that existed there, including an elephant that was kept inside a shed, for seeing which you had to make a payment and then go inside. There was a tree, he says, which was planted by Prince Albert, by which he means the first son of Queen Victoria, who had come in 1875 as the Prince of Wales to Madras and who would later become King Edward VII. Then he goes on to describe all the animals and birds that existed here. He also describes a bungalow belonging to Willis Durai. Willis was the overseer of the zoological gardens. He was also the manager of Victoria Public Hall. How do we know that? When we read the biography of Pamal Samanda Mudaliyar, we get to read about Willis Durai. And we know that he was then resident in that area. He was taking care of both. After People's Park, they come to the old jail. Many of you will remember that the jail existed till 2000 or so in exactly that same location. It was known as the Central Jail. Later on, it was shifted to Pural. At that time, clearly the walls were not very high, because he says you can see the various troublemakers going around. You can also see them planting and maintaining fields. In the 1890s, a former prison warder, Isaac Tyrrell, wrote a book about Madras. And in that, he describes life in the Madras jail and how the convicts were all made to plant and maintain gardens. That is what is mentioned in this poem as well. The poem also mentions a gibbet where the convicts were hung after judgments were passed. From here, they walk on to lovely Laws Bridge and they come to Chindadripet, Chindadripet, the village of the weavers, where several aristocrats of Madras in the 19th century built lovely bungalows for themselves on the side of the river Kuvam. Here he describes the bungalow of Murugappa Mudaliyar, and then the two of them walk on to Swaminayakan Road. Swaminayakan's Road commemorates the first vaccinator of Madras. In 1802, he took vaccination against smallpox to the people of this city. He is commemorated by means of a plaque even today in the Pudupet area, and the road named after him still exists. From there, they come on to Mount Road, where there is a glass Karan Tannir Pandal. This being the hot season of the year and people walking all the way to participate in the Arupathu Moovar festival, it was necessary to put up charitable stalls at various places where water and cooling drinks could be dispensed to them. Even today, that is the tradition. And then very clearly we can see there was a glass Karan Tannir Pandal, after which they come to Taylor Tachivadi and Ashton Durai's shops. What are these? Taylor's yard stood on the western side of Mount Road. It occupied the land parcel which today has the Anna Road Post Office, the Philatelic Bureau, Dhan Building and Tarapur Towers. It was a huge saddlery, which is why they refer to it as Tachivadi, because people were working with leather here. And next to it is Ashton Durai Shoppugal, which actually means the property of Addison and Company. Today it may be an engineering company, part of the Amalgamations Group, but then it was selling piece goods and fancy goods, which is why it is mentioned as shops. From there they go on to Clubhouse Road. Even today it exists by way of name, and at the end of it, the Madras Club stood in 1905 when this poem was written. That area, that land parcel would come to be occupied by Indian Express and today the Express Avenue Mall. Madras Club shifted in the 1960s to the Boat Club area where it functions from even today. Next to that is General Patter's Road, through which this couple walk. This was once the residence of General Patter, and Patter's Thotam or garden is how they refer to it. It existed where Satyamurthy Bhavan and the defunct Midlands Theatre stand even today. The area is known as Border Thotam, a corruption of Patter. And there they go to Chellappan's sweet shop. They gorge and gorge and gorge. Obviously, they were not very diet conscious. All the food items, puri, halwa, laddu, jalebi, adirasam, palgova, imarthi, which is a very, very North Indian dish, pakoda, they have all these things. And then they come to a corner where there is a church with a school. That is the Wesleyan school next to the clock tower, still functioning in Royapeta. Not satisfied with all that they ate at Chellappan's sweet shop, they are now going over to Tandavarayan Tannir Pandal, which means they have now come to Tandavarayan Street in the Royapeta area near Conran Smith Road, and there they have some more things, and then they come to Mylapore. They enter Mylapore through Ambata Varavadi or Babur's Bridge, named as Hamilton Bridge, and then corrupted to Hamilton became Umpton, which in English became Babur. Finally, it was named as Ambedkar's Bridge. It still stands behind the city centre mall. And next to it, interestingly, this poem describes a Prasanna Vinayakar temple, which is still standing. Having crossed all this, they come to Upper Swami temple, still flourishing even today. And next to it is an area which is full of potters. They call it Kosapete, and today that is known as Veeraperumal Kovil Street. Finally, they come to Mailai, where they look at the large temple tank. Then they see Kapalishwarar, they see the 63 devotees, all of them following him. And then they see Angam Pumpavai, Karpagambal, Ganesha and Muruga Singaravela with Valli and Devane, and they fall there and prostrate before the deities and take their blessings. That ends the Vazhi Nadai Chindu, a fascinating journey in 1905 all across Chennai city. From North Chennai to South Chennai, they have managed to come, or at least the North Madras and South Madras as it existed in 1905. This in essence really captures the beauty of the Arupathu Moovar festival. It's a festival of the common people, and that is what makes it so colorful, so lively and so vibrant. Have you ever been to the Arupathu Moovar festival? Or are you the kind that gets scared because there are the crowds and the heat? If so, you're really missing something. You ought to go there and take a look and participate and see what makes a city really come alive. If you are there at some time and you happen to see me, do come along and say hello, because I never miss the festival. If you like this episode, like it, share it with your friends and subscribe to this channel. And I will be back with you in the weeks to come with further episodes from the history of Madras, that is Chennai. Bye for now.